Sir.
My question was about a bill that you're co-sponsoring. I believe it's HR 25, the FairTax resolution. And there's some bipartisan support for it, and there are some Democrats that are supporting it. Since the Republicans are now in the minority, is there any chance that any of the Democrats could possibly bring that to the floor?
Could they bring it to the floor? Sure. Would they pass it? No.
Okay.
But we couldn't get Republicans to pass it. I don't want to answer your question in a partisan context. I'm a guy, I know that taxes aren't very much on your mind today.
Sure.
If they're not, you can see Mr. Zarnicki and he can get you your papers for late filing. Look, a friend of mine called me today from South Carolina, a congressman. He says, I think I got this idea for a bill. I want to know if you think I'm crazy. And I said, okay, because my guys know I'll tell them they're crazy. He said, I'm thinking we require every member of Congress fill out their own taxes. I said, you're crazy. But I told him I love the idea. I love the idea.
Right.
Because I'll tell you what, I graduated Indiana University, Indianapolis Law School, passed the bar in tax law for Indiana and federal. First thing I did was hire an accountant, and I have never looked back.
Just use TurboTax.
Well, it didn't work out for the other guy. You can't even trust TurboTax these days. But no, I want to tell you something. I have supported the flat tax proposal, but I recently did sign on to this FairTax proposal, which I expect somebody will attack me for someday, because it means if you did away with the income tax, it means you'd have a sales tax of anywhere from 15 to 20.
It's very easy to demagogue it.
It's easy to demagogue it. You're for raising taxes on groceries and stuff.
Yeah.
But you can take even a casual look at this idea and fall in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of a sudden the federal government would have absolutely no business how you legally made money. None. In fact, we would move away from taxing income and savings, and we would go toward taxing consumption. And I've got some of my favorite law enforcement people in the room, and they know who they are, and I love them. But you don't even want to know how much money, underground economy there is in this country that never pay taxes. But they buy stuff every day. And they buy big stuff. And so part of it's about capturing a whole economy that the current system just basically collects income taxes from honest Americans. And so if you're less than honest or extremely dishonest, you're outside that system. And maybe they'll catch you, maybe they won't. The fair tax basically catches everybody because, you got to eat. You got to buy a house. You got to, right? And the other thing is it doesn't penetrate into where did you make your money and how much, and plus the simplicity of it. It's not a matter of filing, going through this awful experience. In a free society, the fact that we march 100 million Americans into tax preparers every year and make them pay a couple of $100 for the privilege of filing all these papers with the federal, it's just crazy. Whereas, how about a system where I just go about my business, I earn an honest living. And I'm not saying dishonest living. You go and earn an honest living, the government doesn't care how you made an honest living. Because at the point of sale, you're paying your sales tax. Now you go, well, wait a minute, what about that family that makes less than $35,000 a year? Well, part of this system, which was first proposed by Dick Lugar in 1996, part of this system is every quarter, every American, every consuming American out there gets a rebate from the government for an amount equal to their rebate of their first $35,000 in purchases. So you pay no sales tax on your first $35,000 in purchases if you're a married couple with one dependent. So for most Americans, it would represent a huge tax cut, much more disposable income, and you don't walk around all year wondering, am I a law-abiding citizen? Am I actually paying the taxes I'm supposed to pay, or is the government, So, but I think there's got to be, I'm back to the Tea Party thing, there's got to be some major national movement driven principally by, in my opinion, by the principles of freedom. What is it to be in a free society? I'll tell you what, sometimes I think old George and John Adams and Thomas Jefferson would have writhed under the idea of a tax system. Because remember, we didn't tax income till the 20th century. Well, all of our taxes were consumption taxes before then. All of them. But I think the founders of this country would have gone, you want me to fill out a form and tell you what? I think George Washington probably would have fixed bayonets if somebody said, and I want to know how all the income that came into Mount Vernon, who you did business with, and what contract. He would have gone, get my gun. You know, that was the kind of stuff you read about in the Declaration of Independence. So I really do believe that it would take the American people rising up and embracing that principle, but it's the kind of fundamental tax reform I'd love to see.